one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's side, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, O one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, O one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have two announcements to make. The first is that, honorable members, I have received communication to the effect that, in the absence of Her Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 16th February 2024, until further notice. I thank you. The second announcement, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that in March 2023, the Standing Orders Committee resolved to establish a parliamentary training institute. This is in line with Pillar 1 of the National Assembly of Zambia's Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which focuses on enhancing the capacity of members of parliament and staff in contributing towards the attainment of the institution's constitutional mandate. In this regard, an orientation meeting for all members has been scheduled for Monday, 19th February 2024. The objective of the meeting is to create awareness on the establishment of the institute. The meeting will be held virtually starting from 10 hours. The login credentials will be made available in due course. I therefore urge all honorable members to participate in the orientation meeting on voluntary basis. I thank you. The next item, matters of urgent public importance. Today we are only taking 3. We'll start with the honorable member for Usakile.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I wish to raise a matter of urgent public importance, and my matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Minister of Water and Sanitation. Madam Speaker, this country is hit with the cholera pandemic, and Busakile has not been spared. We have 60 cases in Busakile where 29 has been discharged, 30 are still in hospital, and we have recorded 1 death. And the cause of cholera, which is 70% of the reported cases in Kitwe, is coming from Busakile. The cause is water has mixed with sewer. Is the Minister of Water and Sanitation in order to keep quiet without coming to this house and give the solutions on how this matter will be addressed? Madam Speaker, I need your serious guidance. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Usakile. The issue of cholera, as I said the other day when one of the honorable members raised a similar matter, is not of recent occurrence. The government is aware of this pandemic and is taking measures to address it. As I said the other day, it's incumbent on all of us to ensure that we keep our environment clean, because cholera comes from contaminated water. So, Honorable Member, if you are still interested in that, please put it in as a question. Definitely cannot be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. It doesn't fall within the criteria. Next, the Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Leader of Government Business. Madam Speaker, there's looming drought in the country, which has got an effect, Madam Speaker, on food security and so many things, Madam Speaker, issues of energy, low levels of water, in which this country relies on hydro power generation. So, Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Leader of Government Business on how the government is bringing in mitigation measures in terms of preparedness and awareness to the people of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I need your serious ruling on this matter. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member, I would suggest that you raise that issue as you put in a question. It does not meet the criteria to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. The next one will be the Honorable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. My matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Acting Leader of Government Business in the House, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane. Madam Speaker, my matter of urgent public importance borders on the relocation of Zambia Correctional Service headquarters from Kabwe to Lusaka by the New Dawn administration. Madam Speaker, the decision of moving Zambia Correctional Service headquarters from Kabwe to Lusaka has significant implications on the local community, that is the people of Kabwe, the people of Central Province, and the nation as a whole, which includes, Madam Speaker, but not limited to the following: loss of business by the local people of Kabwe. Moving the headquarters to a distant location introduces also an unnecessary bureaucracy. Decentralization also, Madam Speaker, as preached by the current administration, will be affected. And the last one, Madam Speaker, is economic and social impact. The decision has far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate business community well-being. Madam Speaker, the people of Kabwe and the people of Central Province at large demand that the headquarters of Zambia Correctional Service be taken back to Kabwe. I need your serious guidance and intervention, Madam Speaker, on this very serious issue that has affected not only the people of Kabwe, but the nation at large. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Member for Wacha. The matter that you have raised about the movement of correctional services from Kabwe to Lusaka, I do not see any catastrophe that will occur if the government does not take immediate measures to act on that issue that we have raised. So the matter does not qualify to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. The honorable members can explore other ways to bring this concern to the attention of the executive. That concludes matters of urgent public importance. We make progress. Question for oral answer under Standing Order 74. The honorable member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and greetings from the people of Ron constituency. Madam Speaker, question number 202.
The Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable George Uye, Member of Parliament for Ron constituency, asked the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the dilapidated staff houses at Ron Police Camp in Ron Parliamentary constituency. B, Madam Speaker, whether the government has any plans to construct additional staff houses at a police camp in A. C, if so, when the plans at A and B will be implemented. And D, Madam Speaker, what the estimated cost of the project is. And finally, E, if there are no plans, why? Madam Speaker, in responding to the questions asked by the Honourable Member of Parliament, I wish to inform the House as follows. A, the House may wish to note that Ron Police Camp in Ron constituency currently has 73 housing units, all of which are in dilapidated state, and only 34 of them are occupied. All the 73 housing units are not fit for human habitation. In this regard, government plans to demolish the units in order to pave way for construction of the same number of new housing units. B, Madam Speaker, government's priority is to demolish all the 73 dilapidated houses and construct new ones on the same site before considering to put up additional housing units. C, Madam Speaker, the demolition of the condemned housing units and construction of new ones will be done as soon as funds are made available. D, Madam Speaker, the estimated cost of the project will be determined when the contract is awarded. And finally, Madam Speaker, government has plans to construct 73 housing units after demolishing what is currently there, which is unfit for human habitation at Ron Police Camp in Ron constituency. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Ron.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Honourable Minister Acting, the people of Ron constituency are very pleased with the response. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the first thing that will greet you when you enter into Ron Police Camp is a small billboard which is written Northern Rhodesia Police Camp, meaning that those houses were actually constructed during the colonial time. And we are glad, Madam Speaker, that the Minister has acknowledged that indeed the houses are dilapidated. Honourable Minister, as you are looking for funds, it is a challenge, especially for the officer in charge, Oscar Indechari, to mobilize his officers in case of an emergency to form up. What is your ministry doing to avert such inconveniences in the meantime? Because you are saying that when funds are available, that's when you are going to consider demolishing and constructing the 73 housing units. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think in the first place, that billboard which still talks of Northern Rhodesia, maybe the Honourable Member of Parliament and ourselves can look at it and see that maybe we approach it and put a proper one. On the substantive question, Madam Speaker, you can see I'm privileged to sit next to the Minister of Finance. You can surely be certain that before standing up, I asked about when we can get this thing sorted out, because the houses are not fit for human, habitation. And the Minister has assured me that as at now, he cannot give an answer, but that he will look at it so that we see how we can prioritize the housing units. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Kamfinsu.
Madam Speaker, permit me to ask a follow-up question to the Acting Minister of Home Affairs. Honourable Acting Minister, you are aware that the previous government had undertaken construction of houses for the police in various districts across the country, and obviously it will be necessary for you to indicate to this August House if that ambitious program to target various places, including Ron, will be financed in which actual financial year. Do we have any program that will capture the needs of our people in Ron under some major project, or we are going to just allocate resources specifically to this particular location? Madam Speaker, that is my follow-up question. Thank you.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam, and I thank the Honourable Member for asking. I noticed Madam Onelite he was smiling as he was asking me, because he knows that I'm trigger happy. I can arrest before the substantive minister comes. Yeah. Madam Speaker, on a serious note, the construction of houses in the country for the police force started under the very first government of UNIP. They did a lot, constructed for that time, for that number of police officers who are available. Come MMD, they worked out a program, and we saw the fruit of what the MMD had started flourish under the PF. And we're very grateful that the PF continued the program which MMD had started for the prefabricated houses for most of the uniformed persons. Madam Speaker, there were a few other houses constructed, unfortunately, which were done on a debt portfolio. And it is that debt, Madam Speaker, which the current government is struggling to offset, to pay, and I'm happy to report that there is a lot of progress towards settling the debt in terms of stretching it beyond the time which we're supposed to have been paying. Everyone is aware that instead of paying 75 million, we'll be paying 750 million per year. We'll now be paying a paltry 75. And I think the Minister of Finance and the President deserves a very big pat on the back, because this is going to reduce a lot of burden on the country. When these funds are now released for productive use, this is where Honourable Ron constituency, member for Ron constituency, can benefit because of the relief that we are going to get. So a beautiful question from the honorable member, because it allows the country, through you, Madam Speaker, to know that there's a lot of debt relief that is coming their way, and a lot of these things which we are promising will be, enhanced. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The honorable member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, once more. Honorable Acting Minister, thank you very much for your responses. The concern, Honorable Minister, is that 73 housing units have been condemned. 34 are occupied. What is your ministry doing? We don't want to have a catastrophe or disaster in Ron police camp, where these 34 families are still occupying these condemned houses. What is it that you're doing? Don't you think it would be better, probably maybe, to demolish these houses so that they don't attract anyone to occupy them? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and a very understandable position. I would encourage, Madam Speaker, that the Honorable MP, who has definitely got a case here, should come to our offices so that we sit and maybe together we can make a stronger combined unit and go and see the Minister of Finance, that we see what we can do before these houses collapse on people. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. With that, then we can make progress. Honorable member for Ron, please do engage. You always find solutions in engaging. Next question, the honorable member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The people of Feira would like to ask question 203. I thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Feira to ask the Minister of Education a three-part question. A, whether the government has any plans to revise the education curriculum from early childhood education to university level so as to include information on the value and role of the following natural resources to the development of the country. 1, copper. 2, gold. 3, uranium. 4, cobalt. And lastly, 5, manganese. In B, Madam Speaker, if so, when these plans will be implemented, and C, if there are no such plans, why? In response to the question, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House as follows. A, the government is in the process of revising the education curriculum from early childhood education to the university level so as to enhance information on the value and role of copper, gold, uranium, cobalt, manganese, and other natural resources in the development of the country. The House may wish to note that the Zambia Education Curriculum Framework 2013, which is being revised, includes information on these natural resources and their value and role in the country's development. These were packaged according to the different grade levels. B, the review process has commenced with the internal and external evaluation of the existing curriculum 2013 to ascertain what worked, what did not, and why, and to determine what should be modified. The curriculum evaluation is a prerequisite to curriculum reform as it informs the review process. The curriculum evaluation has since been completed. The Ministry has engaged all stakeholders and the general public to make submissions on the identified gaps in the current curriculum 2013 and their suggested corrective measures. These submissions will pave way for developing a new curriculum framework culminating in a syllabi review and revision at all levels of education. The House may note that the university curriculum is reviewed or changed whenever needed, and each institution conducts its curriculum review in conformity with the provisions of the Zambia Qualifications Authority and Higher Education Authority. Lastly, Madam Speaker, in C, due to the response in Part B, Part C falls off. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for that response, Acting Minister of Education. Really, Madam Speaker, this question is informed by the fact that as a nation, we do not make decisions as decision makers in this country, looking at the value of these assets. Perhaps if we started inculcating these things from early childhood up to university level, then we will raise a leadership that will be able to get the actual value for this country to develop. Now, my question is this information going to come out clearly on how these resources will be used to develop this country, to pay debts, to sort out all the problems, so to speak? And I think that is the question that I'm looking for. I thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for that follow-up question. The Honourable Member will be pleased to note that this is what this new Dawn administration has done, that this review process is actually being undertaken as a result of the presidential directive which was done in 2021, and that we do realize that time has come for us to tailor our education system to such a way that it conforms with the current trend, which will obviously encompass the value of our natural resources, but it will go beyond that and also look into issues pertaining to climate change, financial education, entrepreneurship, and indeed even artisanal skills. This administration is bringing in these necessary reforms, and I couldn't agree more with the Honourable Member that time has come for us to begin to rethink the way we look at these natural resources and the role that they will play in national development. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thanks, Minister of Education. But before I go on, Madam Speaker,
the Honourable Member, let's ask questions. We are in that segment. There is nothing else. No, the business right now is around question number 203, supplementary questions. Can you ask your supplementary question, Honourable Member?
Yes, Madam Speaker. I represent the people of Petauke, which I need to air something on behalf of the people because of what is happening here in Parliament. We are not allowed.
Order. Honourable Member,
sexual harassment.
You are out of order. The Honourable Member for Lundazi.
Yes.
Honourable Member for Lundazi, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, the people of Lundazi are grateful for this chance. The Acting Minister of Education, curriculum development is quite an expensive venture to undertake. The question which the Honourable Member for Feira has asked is asking if at all you have been able to engage all the stakeholders. The question that I have for you, Parliament, we are stakeholders. Have we been engaged on how the curriculum should look like? I submit.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for that question. In my response to the Honourable Member for Feira, I did state expressly that stakeholders have been engaged, and that the process is now way advanced. It is actually now at a stage where it has been submitted to Cabinet for approval, and that, yes, we are cognizant of the importance of curriculum development, and that all that needed to be consulted, indeed, have been consulted. Madam Speaker, I thank you. But perhaps before I can take my seat, Madam Speaker, it will be folly for me, and it was an oversight on my part, to have forgotten to congratulate this administration, the new Dawn administration, for a resounding victory in Mwanza-Wombwe in the KO by-election, Madam Speaker, where we have been given a clear win. Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
Order. The Honourable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my last follow-up question is relating to the time frame in which this process will finish. It's unfortunate that although consultations were held, members of Parliament did not take part in this process. Because I noticed even the President was being shown actually a polishing plant for emeralds, and he looked, so we can see that this is a very important aspect. So when do we expect this process to come to an end, and when it will start in schools? I thank you.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the Honourable Member for that question. So as it turns out, the draft curriculum reform is before Cabinet. We do expect that this will be approved. 2024, Madam Speaker, shall be used as a year in which, beyond the curriculum, we shall now begin to look at the syllabi. And then, in essence, Madam Speaker, the implementation, though in phases, will come in 2025. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. All the honourable members, please, can we maintain the decorum of the House? The Honourable Member for Mandevu.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to ask a question, a follow-up question to the Acting Minister of Education. I would like to know, Minister, would you be in a position to tell the House which stakeholders were engaged and which period did you engage these stakeholders? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Education.
No, Madam Speaker.
The next Honourable Member for Education.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I also need clarification. When you are saying there is a process going on for the review of the curriculum, and the question touches some of the elements that need to be encompassed, and when I look at the question, the elements that are desired to be encompassed, they are not in the lower grades where there is a current review of the curriculum. Is this process also touching on universities and colleges? The review process, does it also involve universities and colleges? Because I feel that is where the elements for the question, they also sit. Is this process also underway to review the curriculum for universities and colleges? Thank you.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, may I remind this House on your usual counsel to members of Parliament to pay attention when we are conducting this very serious business on behalf of the Zambian people out there. In one of my responses, I said, and I'll repeat, the House may note that the university curriculum is revised or changed whenever needed, and each institution conducts its curriculum review in conformity with the provisions of the Zambia Qualifications Authority and Higher Education Authority. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Chenge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
for giving the people of Chiengi to ask this very important question. Madam Speaker, through you, I would like to find out this issue of a curriculum. I've heard one of my colleague honorable members as who are the stakeholders who have been engaged. But I think I would like to find out this curriculum that's going to be implemented, is it going to be tailored with changing also the mindset of our people in our country? Because in other countries like China and India, a child who is in the creche is able to be taught computer development of software. So I would like to find out what kind of curriculum are they looking at and who has been engaged? Because the one that we have now is total slavery. It's not taking us anywhere. Even some of us, it's the same education we did. So my question is, who have been consulted, and if there's any who has been consulted, is it going to be tailored towards developing this country like other countries, Tanzania and China and India? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. I wish to concur with the Honourable Member that yes, it's very important when you refer to creche. In our terminology, I did say that this reform will focus more on early childhood education, which basically means the same as creche, and that we are also going to reform, grade 1 up to grade 6, after which we are now getting back to the form system of Form 1 up to Form 4, and then 5 and 6 are going to be A-levels. It becomes a prerequisite for university entry that we do advanced education studies. So I believe that this whole reform really is aimed at ensuring that nobody is left behind. Even those that may not be of that quality to go to university at Form 4 will be able then to get into, skills training. I think that this will help this country a great deal to develop the skill sets that we need in order for this mindset change that you speak about. So, yes, Madam Speaker, it will do just that.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambashi.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, listening to the Minister stating and what is submitted by his technocrats are quite at variance. Madam Speaker, the challenge today Zambia is experiencing is drug and substance abuse among the youth. These are the future generation. These are the new members of parliament for Pambashi and the new speakers. And a challenge in the curriculum development that has been approved, awaiting validation by cabinet according to the submission by a permanent secretary to the committee, is the lack of teachers that are specialized into the field to counsel youths and children from substance and drug abuse. And this is the biggest challenge that all of us in Zambia are facing. Because if you are not careful tomorrow, those are your brothers and your sisters-in-law. Those are your children and your daughters-in-law. Now, my substantive question, Minister, is when are you going to, before validation by cabinet, because members of parliament are key stakeholders, madam, in every development in society, because we represent various constituencies. Do you have a program before cabinet validates that curriculum to bring to the members of parliament, maybe in the auditorium hall, so that we can also give in the input? Then it can go to cabinet for validation. I know you may say you have consulted parliament through the committee for education, because those are a few individuals. So will you, before you present it to cabinet, bring it to parliament so that all members of parliament can have a view and we contribute towards the development of that national police, as you praise yourself for having won Cario, where you competed yourselves? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for Pambashe for that question. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member makes a very valid point about a clear and present situation of drug and substance abuse by young people out there. I wish to state that this is all the more reason why, as an administration, we did prioritize that education was going to be free. The lack of uptake of children in the school system creates an idle mind which lets our young people begin to roam and delve into some of these vices such as alcohol and substance abuse. This administration has clearly come to terms with this vice that we live with in society, that so many of our children were neglected in the past, especially in the past 10 years of the previous administration. We are trying to bring back society to what we know it as Zambians. And this is why we take on these young children. And that we also are matching this particular demand with teacher recruitment. And that, yes, skills must also then be developed in the future teacher to begin to address the delinquency of young people out there. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
We are slowly drifting away from the question that is before us. And according to the list, the last member to ask was the Honorable Member for Luvaseshe. I've allowed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th one will be Honorable Member from Luvaseshe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Luvaseshe. Honorable Minister, I followed you when you are responding, and I totally agree with the Honorable Tembo for revising the curriculum. And I'm sure the nation, at the moment, you know the value of these minerals that we are talking about. Maybe I would like to appreciate from you as a minister.
Sorry, Honorable Member for Luvaseshe, there is a point of order. I don't know what is burning. The two honorable members have indicated. I don't know who indicated first. I didn't. Is it the Honorable Member for Pambashe? You are yielding to him, or was it you who started, Honorable Member for... Okay, Honorable Member for Pambashe. What's the point of order?
Yes, Madam Speaker, despite the preamble, the question to the Minister was, are you willing to bring the curriculum before it is validated by Cabinet to members of Parliament to have input? And he has not answered. He goes to free education. The people who are involved, the university students who are in schools. I seek your serious ruling for the Minister for having ignored that important part of the question, because, Madam Speaker, when the report on the Committee for Youth come, you'll be shocked, and the Minister brings in free education. Maybe has not been to colleges and universities and see how our children are abusing drugs and substances and other related substances. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
The only challenge I see is that we are diverting or digressing from the question that has been asked. I think the concern of the honorable members from the questions as I was listening was the issue of consultation, whether the honorable minister, acting minister of education, will undertake some consultation with the stakeholders, including the members of parliament. We have a committee on education. I'm sure they would like to have an input. Honorable Minister, are you, from the questions, will you be undertaking some consultations with the stakeholders?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when answers are provided to questions, a very, very specific question posed by the Honourable Member for Feira, I do recall, and allow me to just read this. The ministry has engaged all stakeholders and the general public to make submissions on the identified gaps in the current curriculum What the honorable member should be asking is whether further consultation can be brought to this House. And I'm sure that that is not too much to ask. Let us not be too academic. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. I've seen a lot of interest. We have limitations in terms of time, but it looks like the question is generating further interest. Let me exercise my discretion and allow the 3 questions. Please be precise to the point. We start with the Honorable Member for Lunte. Oh, Luvasesh, okay, sorry. Oh, yes, because of the point of order. The Honorable Member for Luvasesh.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, once more. I was asking the Minister of Education, acting, that this country have got technocrats as well as cabinet who have understood the importance of these minerals that we have in Zambia that have been already discovered. And we know that is the duty of the executive to implement and formulate policies regarding the extraction of these minerals. Now, I would like to find out, is it the lack of information that enable the government to implement policies that can able to actualize what Honorable Tembo is referring to, or is it because we have challenges to do with the extraction of the same minerals so that the major benefit can be felt in the country? I submit.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, may I beg your indulgence to ask that the honorable member repeats his question? I'm failing to decipher what is actually wanting to get out of me.
The Honorable Member for Luvasesh, please be precise. Ask a direct question.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, could you share with this House and the nation at large, what are the major challenges regarding to the extraction of these minerals that the government or executive is facing? Maybe let me put it that way.
From education, we've gone to minerals. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. Sorry, Madam Speaker. Indeed, Madam Speaker, I think the question was very, very specific about curriculum development in the Ministry of Education. I do not speak for minerals development as an ambit of Ministry of Mines. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let's stick to the question. I've used my discretion. I think we have exhausted this question. Let's make progress. Honorable Member for Lunte, I think we have exhausted. We need to manage our time. We move to the next question. The Honorable Member for Chinsali. Okay.
By prior arrangement, Madam Speaker, question number 204 on behalf of the MP for Chinsali.
And according to our rules, it's supposed to be in writing. But anyway, I'll use my discretion and allow, but remind the honorable members that in future, if there is prior arrangement, it has to be in writing. The honorable member for Kamfinsa, on behalf of the honorable member for Chinsali.
Question number 204, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Chinsali, Honorable Mukosa, is asking the Ministry 3 questions. A, when the tarring of the Chinsali Moriran Solo Road will be completed. B, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, and C, what the contract sum of the project is. The answer to A is the upgrading to bituminous standard of the Chinsali-Muliransolo Road will be completed once Treasury sources the required funds for the project. To B, the delay in completing the project has been due to constrained fiscal space. And the answer to C is the initial contract sum for the upgrading to bituminous standard of the Chinsali-Muliransolo Road was 352,350,160 kwacha 89 ngwe. But due to funding constraints, the contract sum was later revised to 85,215,877 kwacha 59 ngwe after the project was rescoped to gravel standard to keep it motorable. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister for Infrastructure, in your response you indicate that there is inadequate funding due to challenges with fiscal space. Are you able to indicate to the people of Chinsali if this project is appearing on any of your priority projects in this financial year or in next year's financial year, so that the Member of Parliament can be able to respond to the many queries that he's been receiving on this particular project? Any indication if this is on your priority list for this year or next year? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, let me make it very clear that the rescoping of this project from bituminous standard to gravel was done by the last administration, not this administration. As we have said, with matters that require Treasury funding, because of the current circumstances which we have continually explained, it's difficult at the moment to add priority until certain measures are put in place by this administration to make sure that we have the adequate resources. Just a bit more information. The contractor engaged on this project was Messrs. Sino Hydro Limited. These works commenced in 2013, and so far a total of 10 kilometers has been completed, up to double surface dressing, which is the wearing course, and the 10.12 kilometers has been stabilized base, and the 53.46 sub-base layer has been done. Later, when funds showed that they were not available, this contract was terminated in August 2022 due to financial constraints. So our commitment as a government now is another contractor will be engaged once funds are secured. The timing of the funds, which is subject to the question from the Honourable Member, funds will be available when the matters that we are dealing with, matters of debt, matters of growing the economy, are put in place. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Honourable Minister, you mentioned challenges with the fiscal space. I just wondered what is causing those challenges. My question is, Monzeniko Road, which was initially a bituminous standard at 378 million, was downgraded to gravel by the previous regime to 1.5 million kwacha. Your administration has upgraded it back to bituminous standard, and it is going to cost the Zambian people over 900 million kwacha. How different is it that your administration cannot upgrade the Chinsali-Mulilansoro road to bituminous standard, which, like the Monzanico road, was downgraded to gravel? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
We have not said, Madam Speaker, that we will not upgrade this to bituminous standard. In fact, elsewhere where we have been on certain roads which were downgraded by the PF administration to bituminous standard, I have made pronouncement that they will be upgraded back to bituminous standard. An example is the Musaira road to Kasava, that is in Chifunabuli constituency. It's just a question of availability of resources. I do not think that this particular question has reference to Monzanico Road. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chinsali is back, so the Honorable Member for Kamfisa has already asked on your behalf one question, so you have one more question. Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member for Kamfisa, for asking a question on my behalf when I was out. Madam Speaker, I would like to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure. I do understand that, yes, the government may be having financial constraints, but this road, it's a very important road in Chinsali, and there are some areas, some sections of this road, where, as it is rain season now, they are impassable. They are impassable. So people who are coming from Mulilansolo, they have to move about 70 kilometers, about 40 kilometers to go to the tarmac as if they are going to Isoka. Then they move another 100 kilometers to go to Chinsali for a distance that they can cover for about 50-something to 60 kilometers. As we are waiting for the government to look for money to either do the standard gravel or upgrade to bituminous standard, is your ministry considering to do some rehabilitation works on these stretches which are impassable, such as the Chipale stretch of this road? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, I ask the Honorable Member for Chinsali, Honorable Mukosa, to engage with the ministry. I think we have pronounced ourselves as a government on the need to ensure that our communities continue to communicate and that no community is cut off. Where we can do something to ensure that the road is motorable, we must certainly do that. So I ask him to engage with ourselves and also with RDA. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chinsali. You've been invited. Please do engage. Let's make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Mitete.
Madam Speaker, question number 205.
Thank you. There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, what's the point of order?
Madam, my point of order is of a serious nature, and is sitting right at the center of the convention of this House. Unfortunately, I'm unable to quote any standing order, but with your permission, my point of order is on the MP for Chinsali, Honorable Mukosa Kalalwe, as well as the MP for Kamfinsa, Honorable Kangombe, who I think have taken advantage of your kindness to admit a question which should have clearly lapsed. And using your discretion, you chose to allow it to see the light of day on the order paper. When the MP for Kamfinsa stood up, he said by prior arrangement, which arrangement I suppose was just between the two of them, and could have been as a reason of extraneous circumstances, which would have meant that the MP for Chinsali was unavailable for one reason or another. But surprisingly, when the follow-up questions came, the MP for Chinsali appeared to follow up this question of a very important nature, which in my view should have simply lapsed. Are the two MPs therefore in order to start juggling with your kindness to allow a question that should have clearly lapsed because of either negligence or just misadventure on their part? I seek a ruling, Madam.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that point of order. Before I admitted the question, I did draw the attention of the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa to the requirement that if there was any prior arrangement, he should have put it in writing, but of course I used my discretion and even endeavored to go further and remind the Honorable Members with the provisions of Standing Order 78, in particular Standing Order 78-2. And I'll read it for purposes of emphasis. Lapsing of questions. I'll start with one. Where a member asking a question appearing on order paper is absent from the House, when the question comes up for consideration, the question shall lapse and shall not be asked again during the same session. Despite paragraph 1 of this standing order, a member who, due to his or her absence in the House, is unable to ask his or her question when it comes up for answer may authorize in writing another member to ask the question in the member's stead. So definitely the issues, the concern that was raised by the Honorable Minister are valid. I just use my discretion as you may know the powers, the standing orders do give me a lot of discretion in a number of issues. That's what I exercised. But honorable members, let's not take advantage. There was no explanation why the honorable member for Chinsali was not in the House. Then from nowhere he reappears. I think let's take the business of the House serious and comply with the standing orders. Honorable members for Chinsali have not asked for you to say anything. Just do take note and also go through the standing orders. If you are not able to attend, then the question will lapse, and it should have lapsed. But we did attend to you because we want the people of Chinsali not to lose out in terms of representation on account of an honorable member who, for one reason or another, decides to stay away from the House. Let's make progress. Question number, the Honorable Member 205, Honorable Member for Mitete has asked, the Honorable Acting Minister of Energy.
Again, thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Member for Mitete, Honorable Mutero, is asking the Minister of Energy or the Minister of Energy A, when the government will connect Mitete district to the national electricity grid. B, what the cause of the delay in connecting the district is. And C, what the time frame for the completion of the project is. The answers are as follows. To A, yes, the government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, in November 2023, launched a project to connect Mitete district to the national electricity grid. This project involves the electrification of Mitete Secondary School, including the boarding school, of course, Rural Health Center, National Assembly Office, Post Office, Administration Block, Civic Center, government housing units, and surrounding areas. The project is being implemented in 2 lots. Lot 1 at a total cost of 18,554,724 kwacha 8 ngwe, and the Lot 2 a total of 17,467,050 kwacha 95 ngwe. The delay was as a result of inadequate funding in the past years. In addition, the geographical location of Mitete, which is in the floodplains, and therefore the works have stalled due to high water levels. The works will resume in May 2024 when the water levels subside. The project started in November 2023, that is answer to question C, and is expected to be completed by November 2024, so that the people of Mitete can have electricity. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Mitete.
Madam Speaker, truthful soul, Minister, Acting Minister, it is true, for the very first time, electricity poles are seen in Mitete for the very first time. So, Madam Speaker, it is true. Not only that, today, Madam Speaker, in the Daily Mail newspaper, Katunda, Lukulu, Watopa Road is in the papers looking for would-be contractors. The people of Lukulu and Mitete, just seeing that, Minister, Acting Minister of Energy, any comment? Polls are going. And now the Katunda Lukulu Watopa Road is also advertised for the very first time in the history of Zambia. Through you, Madam Speaker, I would love to hear a comment from the Acting Minister of Energy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now, the only challenge I have with that manner of asking a question is that we are dealing with the Honorable Acting Minister of Energy. So we are dealing with him in that capacity. I know he is the substantive Minister of Infrastructure, but if you want him to comment on that Katunda Watopa Road, which I'm also interested in, maybe you can have some tea with the Honorable Minister, or put in another question. Honorable Member for Mitete, do you have any other questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Once more again, I value your guidance. Acting Minister of Energy, is it true that come November, Mitete and all these other government facilities shall be electrified? People use electricity in Mitete. Is it true come November, Minister, 2024, that such things will happen in Mitete?
The Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, in 2011, a certain aspiring candidate in Mitete, which was called Lukulu West at the time, failed to launch or to file his papers on the day of filing, that prospective, under UPND, that prospective candidate was Mr. Victor Kachaka, who used to sing the song, "It is True." So in answer to his question, it is true.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Kachaka is a counsel. So let's make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kapoche. The Honorable Member for Kapoche is not in the House, and there has been no written notification. Honorable Member, do you have authorization in writing in accordance with our Standing Order 78-2?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think he made the communication. I thought he had even communicated the office. I thank you.
I was given a note to that effect, but there is no written authorization from the Honorable Member for Kapoche to yourself, Honorable Member for Vuvwi, to ask the question on his behalf because of the concerns that were raised when the question number 204 was being considered. I will not exercise my discretion to allow you, Honorable Member for Vubwi, to ask the question, as that will be in contravention of our Standing Order 78-2. So consequently, the question lapses. We move to the next question, the Honorable Member from Sanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 207.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member from Sanzala is asking the Ministry a question in 3 parts. In Part A, Madam Speaker, whether the government has any plans to construct deep tanks in Msanzala parliamentary constituency. In B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And in C, how many deep tanks are earmarked for construction. Our response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. In Part A, the government recognizes the important role deep tanks plays in controlling animal diseases, and in this regard, we will continue to facilitate for the establishment of deep tanks across the country, including Musanzala parliamentary constituency. It should, however, be pointed out that in line with the decentralization policy, the government has remodeled its approach to the provision of deep tanks. Deep tanks will no longer be constructed through central government, but will now be constructed through the decentralized functions under veterinary services at local level. The application of this policy shift is that construction of deep tanks will now be both community-driven and also demand-based. In Part B, Madam Speaker, as alluded to in A above, plans for the construction of deep tanks in Msanzala parliamentary constituency will now be determined and driven by the needs of the communities.
The finance of this construction will also leverage on the resources of local and constituency development fund, which includes CDF. The ministry will, however, continue to provide technical support to the communities for the construction of community infrastructure such as deep tanks. And in C, in view of A, above, the number of deep tanks to be constructed will now be determined by the needs of the communities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. Honorable Member from Sanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that information that you have given to the people of Msanzara. Now that you are shifting it to the local authorities, I would like to find out from you, Minister, is there any correspondence to this effect that you have just alluded to our people in the district? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, I think the Honorable Member is a bit behind. We have devolved the functions of veterinary services to local authorities. Hence, will be provided by the police direction. Hence, that's the more reason why I've said now this will be driven demand by the communities through our local authorities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member from Sanzala, any other question?
Yes, Madam Speaker. I hear you, Minister, but my concern is that we really have the need for these deep tanks because, as you know, Msanzara is a rural constituency which is also into cattle rearing, and our people are in their need of this facility. I would like, through you, Madam Speaker, to ask the Minister to help the people of Msanzara by providing technical advice and then help our people so that they can also participate and keep animals in Msanzara constituency. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, indeed, our priority is to make sure that we manage disease situation in this country, and that includes Msanzara constituency. Hence, in my response, I have assured the Honorable Member that the ministry at headquarters from central government will continue supporting these local authorities through our departments that are going to be under councils. So this is a sure assurance, and I can assure the Honorable Member that even if we have devolved these functions, but police direction will still be in charge with the ministry. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at time. We're behind. Let's make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member from Mukushi North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We are privileged to ask question number 208.
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Chibuye is asking the Minister of Green Economy and Environment whether the government has any plans to degazette part of Miafi Forest in Mukushi District so as to establish a new burial site for Mukushi Township residents. If so, how much land will be degazetted? See if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, our response to the Honourable Member's question are that I wish to inform this august House that Mukushi District, with a total land area of about 850,000 hectares, has only 5 gazetted forest estates, representing approximately 15% of the total land. the total area. Forest cover in the district is only roughly about 576,000 hectares, representing 68% of the district area. As forests are key to climate change mitigation, government has no plans to degazette part of Miafi National Forest in Mukushi district. The Mukushi District Council, in consultation with traditional leaders, are encouraged to explore other alternatives in the district for burial sites. B, as indicated in Part A above, there are no plans to exercise or degazette portions of Miafi Forest number 14, Mukushi District. The protected forest area in extent of 2,000 hectares also includes plantation compartments, approximately 23 hectares comprising mainly pine species. C, despite its minute size, Miafi National Forest forms the source of the Miafi River and protects other streams including Kasansama and Upensewele, which are important tributaries to Lusemfwa River, the main source of water to Mukushi District and to the Lusemfwa hydropower station. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mukushi North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, we appreciate the response that you have given us, and I wish you knew this forest that we are talking about, and I agree with you that yes, certainly Miafi Forest is actually hosting the source of those two rivers that you have mentioned. But I wish you could actually extend, rather have time to visit and see the area of this forest, part of it that extends to Katuba area, where there is no source of these rivers. Then these are the areas, and rather this is the area that we are actually asking that it can be degazetted because it doesn't fall under that area which hosts the sources of these rivers. Could you be kind enough, Honorable Minister, to indeed take time out of your busy schedule to come and visit and inspect this forest that we are indeed asking for degazettation?
The Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much for that important question, Madam Speaker, from the Member of Parliament. And I must state very clearly here that I sympathize with that situation. And that's what we find ourselves in across the length and breadth of the country. However, Madam Speaker, pressure from councils, pressure to have graveyards in the forest is on the rise. Just yesterday, Madam Speaker, I came on the floor of this House to update the nation on the drought situation resulting from the negative effects of climate change. Climate change is real, and one of the drivers of climate change is deforestation. We need to keep our forests, and we need to keep them very well. Madam Speaker, as a Member of Parliament may know, and the nation may know, our goal is to increase forest cover. And I call upon everyone who has seen devastation in the country because of the drought situation. Yesterday we clearly stated that there may even be budget realignment. Honorable Musokotwani right now must be punching his numbers because there's a drought situation. We need to recognize the problem as it is. Right now, there are small inflows in all the rivers across the length and breadth of the country. There will be energy insecurity. We need to be energy secure. Right now, as I speak to you, water levels are dropping instead of rising. Peaking will be very low. So all of these issues are issues which we need to take care of. Indeed, if you look at the coverage, the forest cover itself is so small. we need to really look at acquiring land for our developmental agenda from the traditional leaders. I really want to encourage councils across the length and breadth of the country, including ourselves. Honorable Member, indeed, you've invited me to see the forest. I've been there and I've seen the state of that forest and your requirements, and I can assure you that indeed we will have meetings. I'm inviting you to my office. We'll have meetings so that if there's any minimum we can do together, I think we'll sit down and do it. The general guidance to members of parliament and to all Zambians are that it's in our interest to keep the protected forests. And Madam Speaker, sorry, I'm taking a bit of time to answer this question because I want to drive a point. Madam Speaker, protected forests, actually these forests were protected about 60, 70 years ago. These forests are protected because they house very sensitive ecosystems. Biodiversity is rich. These are sources of rivers. All protected forests. And they are protected for this very function, to ensure that ecosystem services are provided to our people, to ensure water security, we are mainly hydropower based, to ensure energy security, to ensure food security. Very, very important. We need to internalize these principles and act accordingly if we are to live a livable earth for ourselves. So, Honourable Member of Parliament, in short, I invite you to my office, we'll sit down. But please recognize the big need to protect these forests. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Solwezi East wants to go to Miafi Forest. What's your question, Honourable Member for Solwezi East?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I'm interested in the question because I have a similar challenge in my constituency, Solwezi East Mushindamo district. Would like from your response that you have stated, and in my case, the CBD has not been developed in Mushindamo, and the area that was proposed is actually in the Kafue headwaters. And there have been serious concerns by some stakeholders trying to even come to see the president that the president should degazette part of the forest or the forest in order to build a CBD. Like in the case of my colleague Murphy there, I would like to find out, or you to state the government's position as at now, whether somebody would come to petition the president that we should degazette a forest for a graveyard or for a CBD. What is the government's policy as at now, so that the people of Mushindam who are listening should not waste time listening to our proponents who are pushing for an agenda where it is not possible? What is the government's policy as at now? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Member for Solwezi East, that is completely a new question. I'm sure you can put in a question. We don't want to take the minister by surprise. And this question is constituency-based, relating to Mafi. I'm sure all other honourable members have got related questions, but if we ask that, then we will divert and dilute what we are doing. Honourable Member for Mukush North. Another question?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I appreciate your counsel, and indeed I appreciate your suggestion that I meet you, or rather I come to your office for maybe further talk. You would agree with me that Mukush Township is actually housing the CBD and indeed Chibefwe Ward, where Chief Chitina and Chief Shaivila are. And all these chiefs have no separate land or parcels of land that they can actually avail to the council. Hence the plea to your ministry that you actually just give us a bit of it. But I want to appreciate your invitation, and indeed, if you allow me today, after the session, I can actually come through to your office so that we progress on this matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. You can take those discussions further as you meet. I don't know if the Honorable Minister wants to respond.
Yes, indeed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think another aspect the MP did not say is that Mukushi district is a major producer of wheat, of maize. Mukushi commercial farmers right now, Madam Speaker, are helping us mitigate the shortage of maize. It's in a Mukushi district where commercial farmers will be harvesting winter maize very, very soon. I think Honorable Mutolo yesterday confirmed with me. We need now, this maize and this wheat is produced by irrigation, mainly from the Mukushi River, Lunsemfa River. And the tributaries we are talking about here feed into this river system. So Mukushi, really, if there's one place where forests, sources of rivers must be protected, it's Mukushi. Very sensitive ecosystem, very rich soils, very high temperatures. It's a bread basket for the country. So indeed, Madam Speaker, I will be meeting the Honorable Member shortly after this session. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope the Honorable Members have continued planting trees. On me, because I was still talking. Okay, let me just finish what I was saying. I was saying I hope the Honorable Members are carrying on with that policy of planting at least 1,000 trees. The other option that we can do is the cemeteries that are already full. Is it possible that we can plant trees there to compensate for the trees that were cut? Just a suggestion. Planting trees on the cemeteries, the old cemeteries. I see some people are shaking their heads, but it's something that can be done. So, Honorable Member for Lunte, you have a point of order. What's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, it is indeed shocking that a question which is so urgent from the Honorable MP for Mukushi, the Minister can suggest that he will be meeting him shortly after this session. The session is going to end in August, for God's sake. Is it in order to say he will meet him after the session, which will end in August? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling on this matter.
I think it's the use of the words, session and meeting. I believe the Honorable Minister meant meeting after today's meeting, isn't it? Or after the sitting. Anyway, they will meet anyway. If you want, you can escort the Honorable Member for Mukushi North, just to ensure that they do meet. That is on a lighter note. But let's make progress. Let's move to the next question. The Honorable Member for Gwembe. The Honorable Member for Gwembe is not present. If the Honorable Member for Gwembe is not present, consequently, in accordance with the standing order, Honorable Member for Kabwata, you have something to say?
Yes, Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Gwembe did actually ask me to ask a question on his behalf.
Was the Honorable Member for Kabwata in the House earlier on when a similar matter arose?
Yes, I thought you'd use your discretion, Madam Speaker, since on the other side the discretion is.
When I used my discretion last time, it was abused, so I decided to withdraw that discretion on the previous question by the Honorable Member for Kaposhe. So in the similar manner, I will not exercise my discretion in favor of the Honorable Member for Gwembe. Consequently, the question lapses. We go to the next question. The Honorable Member for Mulobezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 210.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Member for Mulobezi, Honorable Rafa Mawenga, is asking the ministry why the rehabilitation of the Sichili Nawinda Road in Mulobezi district has stalled. Okay.
Honorable members, can we consult quietly so that at the same time we can listen to what the Honorable Minister is saying? May the Minister continue.
Thank you. And B, when the project will resume, and C, whether government has any plans to upgrade the road to bituminous standards, and D, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Answer to A, the rehabilitation of the Sichili Nawinda Road in Mulobezi district has stalled due to financial constraints. B, the project will resume once Treasury secures the required funds. C, government has plans to upgrade the Sichili Nawinda Road to bituminous standard once the required funds have been secured by the Treasury. D, the plans will be considered for implementation once Treasury sources the required funds. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Mulobezi, do you have any?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, is it possible, while waiting for funding, to even just grade because the road is deteriorating at a very fast rate? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, the works on the Sichili Nawinda Road were undertaken by the Rural Road Unit, RRU, between 2014 and 2016. And RRU only completed graveling of the 25-kilometer stretch out of a total of 65 kilometers due to the funding challenges. As we have committed, the outstanding works will be undertaken by engaging a contractor once funds have been secured. But the answer to his follow-up questions, whether there is any remedial work that can be undertaken due to the deterioration of the road, again, I would ask the Honourable Member to engage, see what we can do under force account on that particular stretch. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Namwala wants to come to the aid of the Honorable Member for Mulobezi. You may proceed.
Thank you so very much, Madam. Through you to the Minister. Minister, may I know the total or the estimated cost of the whole project I submit?
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, since I mentioned that the works on these roads, which were undertaken between 2014 and 2016, that is outdated. The total stretch is 60 kilometers. We do have a cost per kilometer on a bituminous road. We do have a cost on a gravel road, but which you can multiply 60 by the cost that we have. But normally we don't give this because this is an engineer's estimate, so that when we go out to tender, we can evaluate based on what individual contractors are able to determine by use of their bill of quantities and so on. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We make progress. Notes of motion. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services on the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases in Zambia 2017 to 2022 for the third session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on 12th December 2023.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker, the motion is seconded.
As the time is 10:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Good morning. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business of the House has been suspended for a 20-minute health break, and so we expect business of the House to resume at 11 hours. And at the time business was being suspended, the House was about to start considering a motion that has been moved by Isoka Member of Parliament, Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda, urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services on the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases in Zambia 2017 to 2022 for the third session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 12 December 2023, a motion that is expected to be seconded by Bahati Member of Parliament, Mr. Livan Chivombwe.
And earlier on, there were two announcements that were made by the Honourable Madam Speaker, and also the House has considered the 7 questions on the order paper, while 2 questions have lapsed owing to the fact that the members of Parliament who were supposed to ask these questions were not in the House.
And so just now we go on a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 11 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people